All right, everybody. Welcome back to Express Mail and welcome to our big 2-0.
And they said we wouldn't make it past 5.
20 episodes as of today. So, welcome back in. We really appreciate everybody commenting. We're getting some good thoughts later on. If you, we're going to need the women to respond. That'll be later on. But so, guys, make sure your wives watch this because it's we just need their help. So here we go.
We need your help, man.
Let me tell you.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you. So what we need from the ladies is what do you want from your man when it comes to birthday, Christmas? Do you want jewelry? Do you want fluffy stuff like flowers that are here for 5 days and then disappear? Do you want an appliance that you could use for 5 years?
Some of you up north women, you electric snow blower. You don't have to get out and shovel no more.
Yeah, I mean, just we need to help the guys out because again, we don't know what you're thinking. We're thinking, hey, she'll love this new blender, But do you like flowers or do you like something that lasts longer? My thought was a oil on canvas portrait of her husband, permanently ensconced in the wall of the house. So when she's cleaning, she can kind of look up. A little bit of pride.
You know how the pictures are. They'll follow you around. Yeah. No matter where you're at in the room, they'll follow you around.
And so she'll think, her husband's proud of her too.
Yeah.
And so anyway, just give us your feedback on what do you like for gifts. Do you like flowers that die a week later? And some of you do, and that's great. Just give us some ideas of what you really like, and then we're going to go over and we'll kind of rank them on who gave us the most of what. So anyway, that's all we're going to do about women today. Kevin, take it away.
Today's June 7th, this Saturday, and what I want to talk about is June 6th. Some of you may remember June 6th. Some of you younger folks might not even know, because I don't know if they teach it anymore, but that is known as D-Day. That's the day America and all its allied troops invaded the beaches of Normandy, and on that day there was over 150,000 soldiers that invaded. There was 5 different sections of that. You had Omaha, Utah, Gold.
No matter that's different sections of the
different like
shore.
The Americans went in and took Americans and whoever was with them.
Right.
Took Utah and Omaha. They stormed the beaches of Omaha or whatever.
Yeah.
Omaha and Utah was the ones that the American troops were mainly focused on. Then you had the Gold was next to Utah. Then you had Juno, and I think the Canadians were like in charge of doing that one. And I think the British Sword was the last one. I think maybe the British or somebody was focusing in on that part of the beach. But anyway, there was.
Did we hit the beach first?
Omaha, or Utah and Omaha.
That was us.
That's us. We were the first ones on. Oof. And I got to thinking about that. There was over 10,000 people died that day. Over 10,000. We lost like 93 or 9,600 soldiers in the American soldiers, but all in all, there was well over 10,000 when you're figuring all the Allied troops and all that. Yeah. But I got to thinking about this. I was like, you would think that they would just fly over and drop bombs all over they're going to invade this beach. They know the Germans are there. Why didn't they fly over and drop bombs on this and just try to jack them up? And
could they reach that far and get back?
Yeah. Well, they had carriers then too.
Okay. Yeah, that is.
Yeah,
I don't get that at all. I'd have blown the hell out of that.
Well, there was
hill before I let the boats go.
What happened was they did that. And what happened was the plane, the weather was so jacked up, they missed their mark.
Gotcha.
So when the Americans, you see them in the movie, roll up on the beach and them doors come down and just bullets start flying, and because those guys they didn't get hurt, when they dropped the bombs on them.
Yeah,
They missed
they
the
did,
mark.
they missed it.
Weather had them so
Okay.
jacked up that
All right.
They
So
missed
they
the
did
mark.
try.
they did try that,
Okay.
you know, which would have probably, I mean, totally minimized the death from American and our
yeah.
allies, you know.
Yeah.
But anyway, there was that, and like I said, there was 5 sections of this. Most people, when anybody that learns anything about this, usually goes Omaha and Utah. You hear about them beaches a lot, and honestly, I can't say that I knew that there was one part of that beach called the Gold Part.
I've never heard of it.
Juneau, it seems like I've heard something with that
Yeah.
before. Sword, I had no idea about that. But there was 5 different sections of that.
Okay, now who named them that? Did we name them that? Say
I think
here,
it was
here, and
like
here?
code names, you know, like
Okay.
you know,
Okay, that makes
this section
sense.
we're going to call it Utah, this section we're going to call it Omaha, or whatever. That way, each military that came in, they had that section. They had the Juneau section, so they knew where they were going, and you know that's why they
Gotcha.
did that.
Gotcha.
But the man that led that invasion, and you know who that is?
Was it a movie?
No. Well, there's probably been movies made.
No, I'm thinking
He was president.
Private.
No, but Dwight D. Eisenhower,
Yeah.
he was our president, and I'm not sure what number he was. He was in the 30s, but uh, there was the only female that got over there was a lady named Martha Gellhorn, I think,
Okay.
Gellhorn, and she was I think she kind of had to like hide herself and do something finagle her way over there. She was a reporter, a journalist.
Oh my.
And anyway, she got over there. But also a little fact about that, you heard of Teddy Roosevelt. Everybody's heard of him. Even if you're young and just starting school, you've heard of Teddy Roosevelt.
Yeah.
His son was a brigadier general, Teddy Roosevelt Jr.
Wow.
He was 56 years old at the time and still led his company
On the shore.
onto the shore. And anyway, they said he was so good, you know, he was awarded a medal. There was a certain kind of medal, I forget what it was, but they were going to award him this medal. But after this was all said and done, about a month later, he died of a heart attack, and they upped it to the Medal of Freedom, which is the highest honor in the land. So they gave him the Medal of Freedom posthumously. I think that's how you say that. And also, there's some other stuff here. There's a guy named James Doohan. He was he went to Juneau. He was a Canadian.
Okay.
He was I don't put it. He was all this guy. He was an actor. He turned out to be an actor. And if any of you Trekkie people out there, he was on Star Trek. Scotty. Scotty was his name.
He stormed the beach?
He stormed the beach too.
Yep.
And check this out.
Wow.
Not only did he storm the beach, there was another Canadian who shot him like 6 times. He got shot 4 times in the leg. What he done after they finally got a calm or break in the action or whatever, he stopped to smoke a cigarette, lit the cigarette up, and there was another Canadian sniper or something other that thought he was a German.
Oh dear Lord. His own guy shot him.
Yeah. Shot him 4 times in the lower extremities, I don't know, somewhere in the leg, I guess, or whatever. But guess what saved him from dying? He had a metal cigarette tin that he kept in his pocket.
And the bullet hit it.
It hit it, and it didn't, I think it's got a hole in it.
Yeah.
But it was enough of a, I guess the
To
shot
stop
was far
it,
enough
yeah.
away, and it hit that metal tin and lessened the impact of that bullet. So
That's stuff of James Bond right there.
yeah, it saved his
Jeez.
butt. But
I can't believe anybody lived. I really can't. You got that a gentleman I talked to today, he's 77, and one of his relatives actually stormed the beach, and he was saying what they described it like was the bullets was like rain.
yes,
and how anybody got through them and got up to the hill to defeat those guys. They just kept pouring them in, and so 9,300 people took bullets to get the few up there.
That's in Omaha and Utah.
Jeez.
The rest of those, I mean, like I said, there's probably close to 15,000 that got killed that day.
And you got to realize a lot of these guys were kids,
17, 18, 19 years old,
scared to death.
20 at the most.
Scared to death. I mean, I would have been petrified. I'd have been, hey, go back.
You had to be scared to death, but just think about when it stopped. It was like kill or die. One of the two. You got an option here.
Yeah, and if you got hit in the head with a bullet, you wouldn't know. So
Yeah.
I mean, but still, just the minute that front of that boat hit the beach and the bullets started raining in, and you go running at the freaking bullets.
Yes, I know a guy too, and I didn't know this about him until after he'd long been dead. And I told you about him. Store manager back in our Coca-Cola days.
Hawkins will know this.
Yeah, Hawkins know who this is. But there was a manager at a certain grocery store that I delivered to in Terrell, Texas. If that helps you out there, Hawkins.
McKissick would know it too.
Yeah, McKissick can know it. Anyway, the guy was just a flat out jerk.
Yes.
He was the hardest man in the world to deal with. I'd heard every horror story when I got that route about this guy here. You're gonna have trouble with him. And I'd heard from 4 or 5 different people. Yeah, this guy, you can't deal with him. Well, I go down there, and I minded my P's and Q's. Hello, Mr. Lovell. Hello, how are you today? How are you? And I stayed out of his way. When it come time, if the back door was open, from 12 to 2, they closed for lunch. So when I got there, if the back door was open, I unloaded my stuff and I set it on the dock. I did not bring it in his store.
Oh, I tried to have one of those docks.
Yeah. And made sure I was tippy-toeing around that guy. And then, like, when their back door was closed from 12 to 2, I might go in the store, but I'd go to the back room and I would just hang out right there. I just wanted him to know I was there.
Right.
But
you weren't going to sit there and ring the bell for 10 minutes.
No, I'm not gonna pester the man about opening the back door so I can make my delivery and go home. So I was just sitting in there one day, and he come walking through the back room, and I think football season was starting up, and I asked him, I said, "What do you think about the Cowboys this year, Mr. Lovell?" I got along with that man. I got along with that man from that point on.
Yeah.
He'd come back there at 12:30, 1 o'clock. Back door would be closed.
During lunch.
Open the door and bring my stuff in.
And y'all talk.
And we talk, yeah.
Yeah.
I got along with the guy, but I mean, you had to work him. You don't go in there. But anyway, the whole gist of that, this guy, I talked to another store manager at another store, and I asked him one time, I said, "Did you ever know him?" "Yeah, I knew him." He said, "He's a good man." He said, "He ever tell you any of his World War II stories?" I said, "No, I didn't even know he was in World War II." He said, "Oh man, he sat there and tell us some of them stories, and that's the way he described dodging the bullets, was like rain." He said, "Man."
So he stormed the beach
He
too?
was on the beach, man.
Golly.
And now, I mean, when I found all that out, I understood a little bit more about him, why he was the way he was. If he liked you, you're good. You're good. Don't do nothing to tick him off or upset the apple cart. But if he liked you, you were good. But if you went in there and tried to start telling him how he was going to run his business with your product, he'd throw you out. He didn't care if everybody in the world but him sold your stuff.
Exactly.
He just wasn't having it.
Right.
It's his way or that way. But anyway, turns out he was a good man. You just had to know how to deal with him.
Wow.
But
there were several backdoor people like that. If you got into their good graces, they loved you. But if you didn't, it was a nightmare.
Well, you know how vendors can be. They go in there and
oh yeah,
we're gonna build this display here, and we're gonna do this. We're gonna do this. Well, if you tell this guy that, he's like, what you're going to do is you're going to get your product and you're going to get out of my store. That's what you're going to do.
Yeah, you go build it, but guess what? You're going to take it right back out.
Yeah.
You had some jackass store managers that would let these guys build these huge displays and then come in up there and go, that needs to be moved over a foot. I'm talking about, 500 case displays. and then have to redo the whole thing just to move it 1 foot over. Now those are jackasses.
Yeah, big time.
Oh man, we got to talk about McAfee one day. He's so awesome. He was so funny. But anyway, we'll move on.
Brooks.
I rode with him several times and had a blast.
Anyway, that's the whole story, or what? Not the whole story by a long shot, but there's so much about June 6th. That's the real J6 guys right there. Those are, man. That's the day. That was the beginning of the end of the war.
Yeah, that's
What
why
that
we
was.
don't speak German. That right there.
Because those young men,
If they wouldn't have done that, the Nazis would have took control of everything.
yeah, Nazis, they had control of all that French beach
Yeah.
up there, man. All of it. I mean, from like this section was probably a 50-mile section where they had these beaches
Yeah.
named, but there was, I mean, they were in control of all of that, way past all that. So, yeah.
Talk about, speaking of that, was it Robin's great uncle or something?
Yeah, matter of fact,
Do you have the picture?
sure do.
Well, we're going to throw it up on the video too.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, man. He was in
the
World War II.
newspaper.
He was in Time Life, Time Magazine,
Time
or something.
magazine. Yeah, we'll have Debbie put it up
Anyway.
too. But
That's it. If anybody can see
is it her
that,
great uncle or who was it?
it is her great uncle. It's Shirley's uncle. Her Robin's granddaddy. That was his brother.
Wow.
Buster was his name.
That's crazy. How long? When did he die? Do y'all know? Do you remember?
Oh, he lived a long time. I don't remember her. I think her granddaddy died in the 90s, seemed like it was like around 94 or 5. And I can't remember if he was still living or not. I think he might have passed on a little bit before him. But, I mean, I've only met that guy. I met him a couple of times just from going to Arkansas,
Yeah.
meeting her family or whatever. Super nice guy. And,
So you met that
I
guy?
think, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he had, I don't know, seemed like he had 15, 20 acres or something other like that up there in
Okay.
Arkansas, and just
Oh,
a cool
wow.
looking place. Anyway, we went up there one time and met him, but I can't remember if he passed away before Robin's granddaddy or not. But
That's why they called him. Didn't they call that group the Greatest Generation?
generation, man.
And they were.
Those guys they were the salt of the earth right there.
Those
man.
were real men. We're not.
Exactly.
That's a sign.
They were.
All right. So you done with that?
Yep.
All right, buddy. Let's go back last week. We were talking about somebody insuring their legs.
Yeah. Mary.
And I was thinking of
Lisa Hartman, yeah.
It was Mary Hart, buddy of mine, Barley. Jeff Barley brought that to mind. I knew some girl was doing it.
I remember.
Mary
I remember
Hart,
a little bit
yeah.
about that.
They insured her legs because you saw them on the news thing every day. You know,
Wasn't it like $1 million or something?
Something,
I mean, I don't,
something crazy.
It might have just been what they were saying, but who knows?
Yeah, and update on the Rangers. My buddy, my other brother Daryl here said we need some hitters, some batters.
Yeah, I think the bats just kind of come and go. Sounds to me like. I mean,
They got
like
sweet. They got sweet. Like,
Swept
yeah,
Tampa Bay.
yeah.
Was it Tampa Bay
or whoever this last
It was in Florida.
Florida. So whoever it was, they swept them.
Tampa Bay Rays, I think.
So they're struggling. But anyway, so that kind of sucks.
Did you hear about, Dallas Stars? He made it to the Western Conference Finals. Yeah, for the last 2 or 3 years.
2 or 3 years.
Anyway, the guy that's got him there, they fired him. After
You're out.
And if you can't get us over the hump, you're out here. I was like, man, you get to basically the championship game before the Stanley Cup playoffs, or before the Stanley Cup game.
And all you need is a couple tweaks and you're in.
Yeah.
You know, you can't.
You just fire the guy. Looks to me, I wouldn't. Maybe hockey's a little different than.
I don't
other
know.
sports, I don't
I
know.
think the hockey world was shocked too, though. Don't you? I think they were.
I don't know.
They were like, well, that don't make any sense.
I had to talk to my son-in-law. Maybe he's kind of a hockey guy, so maybe he understands. I don't know.
Well, our brother Daryl brought up maybe talking about this week history in Texas. Well, not much went on this week in the history of Texas.
I think in 1870 or was it 17?
When Houston,
Yeah, Sam.
it was something like that. Yeah, they started doing that.
There's not a lot happened today
Not- yeah.
on June 7th, anyway. But we will get to that because that's a good idea.
That is a great idea. Just a bad week.
Just a bad day for
Texas was
starting.
taking a break, I guess, from all the
Pretty
good
much.
stuff.
Yeah, they done kicked everybody's butt so
Yeah.
far. They like sit back and chill for a minute.
Well, I'm telling you, man, it's man, you go to the Alamo and learn all that, and you know, like Mexican War and all. It's just amazing what this state went through.
That was to gain our independence from Mexico.
Yeah,
You know, you go down to the Alamo, you can go through the Alamo and you see bullet holes in the brick and
yeah,
stuff like that. You know, and you can just imagine what 100 guys that were in the Alamo, something like that.
yeah.
There wasn't many,
No,
not compared to Santa Anna's army of
yeah.
like thousands. I mean,
Man.
you know, so
It was crazy. So let's you want to do some birthdays, Kevin, real quick to get that
Better
out of
hurry
the
up.
way. Do you have any? Or are they all over here?
they're all over there. I gave
All
you
right.
two I had.
Johnny Depp. He was born in 1963, so he's my age today, 62.
Yep.
Johnny Depp.
You might know him by some movies, or you might know him by that trial that he spent.
Oh, wow.
His
Oh,
divorce
wow.
or whatever. He went through the.
Liam Neeson is 73. Michael J. Fox was born in 61. So,
He's a year older than I am.
who else? Tom Jones, one of my favorite singers. I love his music. I just do.
She's a lady.
Yeah, if you haven't heard Tom Jones sing "She's a Lady," you gotta listen to it. It's one of my favorite songs. All right, this is there any more birthdays? There's not really exciting things going on here. 1973. Let's switch to horse talk. Secretariat won the Belmont
That's
Stakes
in New York. That's the third race in the Triple Crown.
by 31 lengths.
Yeah, I watched that race. I remember as a kid, I was 11 years old, watched that thing, and it was like, and I didn't really pay that much attention to it because I was 11 years old.
Right.
But I just remember
We heard the word secretariat
yeah,
our whole
5 years after.
Yeah.
You know, it was
Yeah.
a pretty common thing. But I mean, just watching it and how he smoked that group of horses that he was running against. I just remember being in the house and every, you know, the older people that were watching it knew really what was going on.
Yeah.
You know, they were making a big deal of it. So I guess, you know, but as I grew older and I got to watch, I've seen that race several times on.
I remember as a kid,
Video.
I remember the news talking about
Yeah.
Secretariat has been put out to pasture to retire. And all.
Yeah.
I remember all of that stuff.
And they
about
said
that.
his coach didn't really produce that much. I mean, as far as
Oh, really?
yeah, you know, I mean, this dude
I wonder what.
he smoked them in just about all three races.
And you know they had to have a
And so his
studly
country-
woman to make sure the bloodline was clean.
Well, they had. I mean, you know, that's what they do, and especially if you got a Triple Crown winner,
Yeah.
stud fee is just like through the roof.
Yeah.
You know, you'll pay more for a 3,000 square foot house than you will a stud fee
Absolutely.
for some of these horses.
Absolutely.
But his offspring, what I heard, I don't really know, but I've heard somewhere that his offspring didn't really produce that well. Kind of like there's a certain rodeo bull. Everybody's heard of Bodacious.
Yes.
One that wrecked Tough
His
Edom's
face.
face. I don't, you know, you hear his name through some bloodlines and stuff, but they're
no,
not
no direct
Yeah.
descendants, right?
none that are. I mean, like that really. I mean, like he
That was like him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Nothing
So
anywhere close
who
to
would
him.
be equivalent to him today? Is there a bull?
Not one that bucked like him. I mean, there's obviously bulls that buck that like were just super bad.
Right, but not super bad like
But-
him.
Yeah, he had a way of wrecking you. I mean, most of these bulls are like athletic and they jump and they belly roll and they do all this stuff.
He had certain moves he
He
made.
had moves that he made that would hurt you,
Yes.
and that's how Tough Edom's face got
And if you
smashed.
haven't seen Tough Edom's last ride, which it was no ride, he gets up there and as soon as he got out, he just kind of pops off.
No, that was right after he recovered. went to the finals.
Yeah,
and-
but
and
I mean,
drew.
the last time he had anything to do with that bull, that
Yeah.
was so cool that he just kind of stepped
And
off,
then
let that
tipped
bull
his
go
hat.
on his own. Yeah, tipped his hat.
He had to do that to be able to qualify for the average and all that kind
Oh,
of stuff.
cool.
He couldn't just turn him out.
I thought that's
That's the
cool.
only
I
reason
mean,
he
how
did
many
that.
bones did he crush in his face? All of them.
Wrecked his whole face,
Yeah,
man. I don't know
yeah.
how many screws and plates and all that they had in there.
All right. So who was the horse that won today? The Belmont Sovereignty.
Sovereignty. And Sovereignty, that's a wild deal. Sovereignty won the Kentucky Derby this year. Intentionally set out the Preakness. Then went to the Belmont today and won it too. So we could have had a Triple Crown winner this year. I don't know what the reason was they chose not to
Yeah.
race at the Preakness, but it's possible we'd have had a Triple Crown winner this year
Wow.
if they would have raced at the Preakness. But they set out, and anyway, everybody, all these people that were horse people that did the commentating and all that, they were all picking that journalism horse. The journalism horse was up front, but in the last little leg or whatever, here comes Sovereignty and pulls up there and just kind of like by a length and a half maybe,
Yeah.
pulls out in front of him and wins the race. So, but journalism, Sovereignty, and another horse, I forget the other horse's name, but those were the top three picks anyway. So no
Black
surprise.
Beauty? Oh
Yeah.
no, that was a movie, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I thought
No.
you were talking about a long time ago, though.
No, this is today.
Okay.
So it wasn't no surprise that he won. It's just everybody was picking journalism because they thought he was the cream of the crop. And
JFK was born about a week ago, May 29th, and that just don't seem real. 1917.
yeah, that's kind of
I
like
guess the last pictures we saw, he was so young. It's the last thing you saw of him. So
Yeah.
you never saw him grow old. So, but 1917, I'm like, dang.
Hmm.
John Wayne would have been 128. I know we talked about him, but I didn't realize he'd have been 128. That's how long ago he was.
yeah. Didn't he
born.
die? Didn't he die in 80?
77 or 78. I was in Oklahoma when it happened. So it was like,
Better check that. I
hey
think
Siri, what year did John Wayne die?
John Wayne
79.
died on the 11th of June, 1979.
79.
79.
So yeah, that's
I was out hunting
45
rabbits,
years ago.
and we went in the house to take a break, and bam, on the TV,
John Wayne died.
yeah, John Wayne died. It was rough.
Wow.
But one more idea for the women. What about pets for a gift? A thought. A friend of mine, Tina Kay, friend of mine, just lost her father, and her husband bought her a little puppy, just kind of keep her mind off of the pain of losing her father. And I talked to her today, and she said it really helps. And I understand that. I mean, if you're playing with that puppy all the time, you don't have time to sit there and just drag out you know what I'm saying?
Something ever happens to me, y'all need to get Robin a cat.
A big cat.
Yeah.
Like a bobcat that's house trained. Cat. Yeah. She come over and shoot me.
Yeah. Can't be laying dead up on your porch. Is probably what happened.
Exactly.
All
All right. What else, boss?
What about the old Pete Rose ball? How about that?
Well,
That's pretty exciting.
Yeah, some of you making jokes about it. You know who that is, don't you? Hulk Hawkins.
I can only
After
imagine.
we've invited him on the show, he's just a wuss, so he won't come on. But anyway, talking about, hope y'all get $3. Well, let me let you in on a little secret, Mr. Hawkins. We have been offered $3,500, but what we're waiting on is the induction into the Hall of Fame.
I think that's the reason the guy offered that, because he knows
He knows what it's going to be worth
He knows
10
what-
years from
yeah.
now.
I mean, this guy's a major league hit leader
Something
and
like that. Yeah.
going in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
So yeah, that 3,500, I think that's chump change.
I do too. So we're going to hold off. If any of you rich guys out there are listening, make us an offer. Hawkins, don't make an offer. So yeah, our Pete Rose ball. That's turned out to be just a
That was a good find.
That was a good find. Well, what is today? Sunday? It's Saturday.
The 7th
7th.
of June.
Well, all right. I think I'm out of stuff to talk about
I'm
today.
tapped.
Yeah, not a whole lot politics are just kind of in a lull right now. We're waiting for the big beautiful bill.
Trump and Elon having their little squabble.
Yeah.
That's
Where do you
just
go with
kinda like-
that? You know. So anyway, but I think they have. I talked to a guy at the Republican, what's it called, headquarters
Yeah,
there in Markwell.
Yeah.
He said they got till I think July 1st to get that big beautiful bill passed through the Senate. So I'm sure they're up there tweaking the
So they'll
crap
probably
out of it.
they'll probably take it to the limit, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And jump out and want to pat each other on the back, and they'll be looking for cameras to stand in front
We
of
did
and
it.
talk about how good a job they did and all
Yeah.
that kind of. You know how that's typical politicians.
Oh well. Oh
I
well.
like Rush's definition of politicians: showbiz for the ugly.
Boy,
That's
especially the
pretty.
Democrat part.
That pretty well describes politicians. Because they're always looking for a camera.
So anyway, guys, have a good next week. We'll be filming episode 21 next weekend. Hopefully there's a lot more fun stuff happening. Ladies, don't forget to comment. Let us know what you really like. That way we can tell your husbands what most women like.
And everybody, all you husbands, like and share and subscribe.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, the comments, the share and the like, all of that helps our channel, and we really appreciate it. We got some loyal people who are really helping us out, and we really appreciate it. So, if you guys will do that, I think this wraps up episode number
20.
So anyway, with that being said, God bless. Peace.
Adios.
Have a good one.